All right, good afternoon. It is 2:04 and this is the Town Real Estate Assessment Committee. Well, since we're all in person, I'm not going to do the remote script. So first item on the agenda is the call to order, which we've just done. Next item is the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
I'll amend that motion because it will also be the roll call, because you'll do
Okay.
it. And then we'll get them both done at once.
Okay, let's do, all right, we'll do approval of the agenda and we'll do a roll call. So motion's been made by Nat, seconded by Lee. We'll do roll call vote. Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Lee Saperstein,
Aye.
Thomas Barrett,
Aye.
John Brescher. Aye. I don't believe we're doing the minutes for June 10th. Is that correct? Or
I don't think we're doing any minutes.
beautiful. We're not going to do any
Skipping
minutes.
minutes.
Minutes are punted for today. All right, next item is the election of the chairperson.
Make a motion to reappoint or reelect John Drescher as chair for this year.
Second.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
We should have a vice chair as well. So,
I nominate Reed.
okay,
All right,
Second.
okay,
with the understanding that Lee will never move forward to the next position.
understood. Yeah.
We're hiring somebody for that.
All right, thank you all. We'll do roll call, or we'll do, I guess, roll call vote for John Brescher being chair and Lee being vice chair. Nat,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
John, the chair votes aye as well. Okay, next item is public comments. Worries? Do we have any members of the public?
I don't think
No
so.
members of public here.
No.
Anybody? No, okay. All right, Gracie, let's get into some real estate matters.
Okay.
Let's do it. What do you got
Um,
for us?
So, Patricia Halstead submitted this plan on behalf of her clients for the taking of what used to be John Adams.
Yep.
Paper Street. I've actually looked at this before in conjunction with a phone call from a neighbor who has, she's been using a footpath. That seems to go, it's very hard to see in the aerial, but you
Yep.
can see it.
Yeah.
And, I just want to make sure we're clear. So the other neighbor took the other portion and that's all been conveyed and done.
Yeah.
So this is the leftover portion of John Adams that's remaining.
Interesting.
And some of the beneficiaries are land court, some are not.
Yep.
And, so I just wanted to bring it to the committee so that we can kind of vet out any potential problems ahead of petitioning, with the select board for the taking.
Go, Tom, go ahead and then I'm just.
Horizontal or perpendicular to the properties in one particular lot or?
It's like horizontal, it's at the top, the north end of all the lots, sort of running horizontally,
And you
like
say,
east to west,
and
kind
you
of.
say in the aerial, the aerial's got one lot blocked out in blue, but I presume that John Adams Way goes over the top of several of these.
It does, but a portion has already been conveyed to another abutter.
And I'm going back to the taking plan. And on the right-hand side, it says former way, 2016 order of taking. And then we've got A through F. I'm not quite sure which is the one below that is in the aerial. But I'm asking Tracy, is this supposed pedestrian path somewhere between A and D or A, C, D, and E? In other words, does it parallel the long dimension of?
I was trying to put it on the screen, so I highlighted it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can't seem to get back to where I was in the Zoom now.
So Tracy, quick question for you. So
You should be able to do it now.
So have some of these been disposed of, or I'm looking at the one sort of to the, I guess would be to the east, I think. Where, as Lee pointed out, the former way and the 2016 order of taking. I assume that hasn't been disposed of yet, and so that's still.
Okay, so see that
Yep.
yellow highlight?
Yep.
Yes,
So that is the portion of the proposed taking,
right.
but
And there is on that scheme a way shown right where your cursor is.
Yeah.
yeah, see this part?
To,
Right,
to,
and
to
there's-
Sherburne.
That's already been taken and conveyed.
And it had, okay, so
And
here's,
It's not off the GIS yet.
Is there a path or an easement in that?
that was gonna be that's exactly my question.
So that's the thing, is I think that she's using a footpath to get to Sherburne to go down to Steps Beach. And, but that part is already taken and
Right.
absorbed, and then, but she seems to be still using it.
There's a
Either
lot
that or
of
she's
on-
connecting to this other, through this other lot, but
Is, is this the person over at perhaps?
it's this person right here
Heather?
where my cursor is. That's the one
Oh.
that called me.
Oh, oh. Wait, which, that,
I think it's her right there at 5,
a 5 Shady?
or is it 7?
Fascinating. I would have guessed it was somebody further to the west.
No, it's a little tiny, I believe it was 5, and it's a little tiny
Oh.
thing.
So the path is dumping her out on private property?
It's either dumping her in the private property, which is what she called me about, because she's like, are they gonna stop me from using my path? And I was like, and that's when I looked at it and realized that it was already taken and conveyed on that other section.
So there are a great number of our colleagues who are inadvertent trespassers and they don't want to be told that.
Yeah, so,
Problem is, if we've already taken part for.
I know, I don't know how we can reserve
How
a
can
path
you
for her.
give access to this path that dead ends into private?
I agree,
Yeah.
I agree.
yeah, as do I.
Just keep her mouth quiet and use it until they tell you not to.
Well, she's going to be the beneficiary of a parcel,
Okay.
Okay,
you know, because she does abut these new ones. This guy at number 18 is land court,
Yeah,
and then below these beneficiary parcels, some are land court and
right.
some are not.
And is this person D, E, or F? Do you recall?
I gotta go back and look at the plan now.
It would be a,
Because if it's F, then I'm not really sure there's
Yeah,
much,
I think it's F.
then I'm not sure there's much.
And see how there's that little remainder parcel?
Yeah, B.
Which, and
Yeah.
so I
yeah,
think,
so A and B are on the north side.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only what, 10 or 20 feet wide. So the upper 10 feet are A and B and the lower are C, D, E, and F.
yeah.
said she was.
And
Wow.
Patricia submitted the plan, but she, I don't believe represents everybody.
Right.
Wait a minute, you said she was lot F?
I believe that the lady who was talking about the path is the beneficiary of parcel F, yeah.
And then she's going to. So that I understand it correctly, she's taking a right turn and going along over to Sherburne Turnpike.
That's what I think. That's sort of how she explained it to me.
Well, I mean, theoretically, you can do a path on that lot F that exists, I mean,
But she's gonna own it.
but she's gonna own it, yeah, so. I
Right,
mean,
and I didn't find any kind of an easement negotiated for
And that's
when the other
critical.
parcels conveyed.
Well,
So,
The one open question is why between lots 2 and 4 of Sherburne Turnpike, there is shown on the GIS a way.
Right.
Now, GIS is not.
it's not super accurate, especially in terms of catching up with these taking plans and then the mergers, the subsequent mergers of the lots.
And what's more, number 4 has access to Kimball across number 2, according to the GIS.
It's a very complicated title, Lee, that I have looked at extensively.
I'm looking at the plot plan that was provided with the lots and all that. And it looks like one of them was that paper street out to Sherburne was split in half. And one part of it's been conveyed on this plan or showing that the order of, but the other side doesn't show, it shows it blank.
Right, well, see how it says former way, Tom?
Yeah,
Yeah,
So that was a land court property, and I think it was land court. Is that land court? He's already absorbed it.
it's already absorbed that.
So, when I looked at
Okay,
it,
I'm
both
sorry,
sides
I
of
see
that,
the corner, okay.
yeah, so when I looked at it, both of those, that's all gone.
So the one thing in the aerial view is I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cars or vehicles parked in the corner. That's irrelevant, those are chattel property, but nonetheless, who knows what that land's being used for?
So it's up for discussion, so like. Do I move forward with the taking?
Well, I mean,
It's been authorized.
this sounds like
in town.
Chatham Road with people using these little things for years and they
Yeah.
think they stay that way forever, like it never is gonna change.
I mean, there's no
I
other
mean,
use for this, it's
yeah.
landlocked now.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
needs
No,
to get done. It's just
I-
that maybe the lady can, I mean, I haven't gone up there to look at this, but. Is she saying that she doesn't want this to happen because she wants to keep walking?
No, she's not
Okay.
saying that, and
Okay.
actually, she called me before this was all filed. So,
I mean-
it just happened to be coincidental that then this came in after.
I don't think there's anything we can do because.
I don't either.
It dumps it into private property.
yeah, the only thing I'd say is that I didn't do any due diligence or research on this, but it looks like. It's interesting that I guess, maybe 2 and 4 Kimball are, or maybe whatever Kimball and then Sherburne Turnpike are, land court properties. And that the deed was on the unregistered side. So. Now, you can question sort of, I don't know about the validity of the deed and that would be. Something
Yeah.
else, I don't know, but otherwise, I don't think there's much. I don't think there's much we can do on that,
Okay,
to be honest. And I feel like, again,
and town council will look at it as
Yeah.
well when she drafts the taking.
okay,
So, I'm really just planning out future agendas because there's about, none of these ready to go.
The only-
I mean, that's, yeah,
the only other thing I would suggest would be that if she is very interested in this, or perhaps Patricia, have Dan Malloy prepare a plan that actually shows the path.
Right,
Because I mean, we're just going on the lotting plan here from, it looks like it was endorsed in 2024 and prepared in February of 24. I mean, it doesn't show any.
Right.
So it's kind of hard.
right. And I wouldn't have even known about it if this lady hadn't
I mean, between GIS, the plan, there's no way it's not.
And I went back and while we were here, I
Yeah.
went back on GIS into the aerials, went back to 14 and tried to look for it.
Yeah.
And so,
I know, it's hard. Okay,
All right, so
So- It seems to me that the only real open question for us is the taking of parcels A through F.
and are you looking for a recommendation at this time for A through F, or do you want to wait for Vicky?
I want to wait till I have the taking document and I've scheduled it for select board. So this was just for discussion purposes prior to kind of vetting it out prior to taking that next step.
Okay, so it's not a vote, but the general conversation is consent.
Yeah, so you could make a motion to recommend it go forward.
Yeah.
I guess.
You want to, all right.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So want to make
Okay,
that
so
motion?
moved.
Motion made. Is there a second? Second. Do roll call vote. Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Lisa Apperson.
Aye.
Tom Barrett,
I,
John Brescher votes aye as well.
Okay,
All right,
close these down.
on to item 8. Amendments to the yard sale procedure form.
So does anybody have any comments on that?
I'm trying to find, is that the modernization thing?
No,
Oh,
that's
Yeah, I want
the
to get into
the
that
little
one.
checklist that I had made.
Okay,
You
I'm
know,
sorry.
So Tracy, for what it's worth, I hate saying this, but I'm really with sort of, I think 9 is gonna start to I have 9, the modernization
This
act
will dictate.
is
what's-
gonna help dictate a tremendously. I mean, again, I think 8 is sort of fine, but at the same, you know, 8 is always interesting because we know what to do when it's unregistered land. And then registered land is a little odder. Actually, this is, I guess a good one would be. Have you heard anything relative to item 8? About people thinking about yard sales for warrant articles for 2025 town meeting? Because as absurd as that sounds, we're, 2 or 3 months away. from seeing warrant articles.
Not that I know of. I was trying to put a little squash on it. I have 6 plans sitting in Erica's office that I haven't even had signed or recorded.
Gotcha.
So, and those already have the benefit of warrant articles. But this list is a monster and I'm starting to get issues with people selling.
Oh, yeah.
And wanting assignments of old RFPs and things like that I haven't even addressed. And I'm worried about taking on more without dealing with the backlog.
Sure.
So we can't stop somebody from making a petition, obviously.
No, but you could certainly mention to finance committee.
Yeah.
Planning to say, hey, we should give this, move not to act until we get a little more of these done and we finalize our process and procedure.
Yeah, because it's very difficult to sort of take on new ones, especially if they're unregistered land.
Yeah.
And they get through and these other ones don't. So,
I get it.
So.
Do you want to jump into number 9 then?
Well, I kind of hoped that Arthur would get in, but he did not.
So, okay, so do you mind if I chat about number 9?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
So number 9 is
try to-
is fascinating for all of us.
I don't know what happened.
All us practitioners.
There we go.
I think there's some sort of behind the scenes at the state level things going on. You can sort of read between the lines why this is happening. But the gist of it is that the state has put in an act and signed an act to allow homeowners who have registered land to deregister from the registration system. Traditionally, there were only like 2 or 3 ways that you could do so. You had to have been part of a common scheme subdivision, or you were going to put it into a condo. It truly rarely happens. But with this new act, it is making the deregistration process available to any
What
homeowner.
would be the benefit to a homeowner to deregister?
Great question. It would be sort of the real simple one is that you don't have to deal with the bureaucracy of the land court.
Yeah,
So leave aside paper street matters for a minute. Registered land is all throughout the Commonwealth. It's not, some counties don't have a lot of it, some do. They have their own set of rules and you have to follow them to a T. And it's like dealing with the IRS. It really is. It is a very challenging bureaucratic.
This is baby and bath water. Why don't we fix the registration system?
that's like fixing the steamship in the post office. That's not gonna happen.
Not
You're willing to admit it.
not in our lifetime.
Tom, it's unbelievable.
So anyway, they're having challenges with the register, with the land court itself.
So the status would go from registered really back to recorded in the local county records office. or
Exactly.
registrar.
So we think, and so this is all brand new, but we think the plan would be that you have to petition the court. You say, hey, I, Joe Smith, would like to deregister my property. I have a loan with Cape Cod 5. Here is my lender's assent saying this. The court says, thank you very much. Pay your $50 filing fee. We're going to have an outside title examiner make sure that there are no other liens on there or nobody else has notice that would have to assent to this. There isn't. Fantastic. Here you go. Here is an order of deregistration saying, you know, that you are no longer part of the registration system in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Please file this document with the Registry of Deeds. It'll cost you $105 and we'll see you later.
I mean, just imagine for a minute, all the other communities that deal with this that aren't like us.
Yep.
That can't afford to do it. They don't even know how to do it. You have to know what you're doing to do this, right? That thing on
Yeah,
that Arthur did quick for that easement for Lover's Lane, like how it happened so fast, like that was interesting, you know, but I could see this coming. We can only get emails attached to abutters notices, we'd be all set. Forget that stupid
well, it provides a lot more.
Pony
Once
Express.
you deregister, especially if the property, some properties are a mix of land court and, you know, registered.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was gonna
unregistered
say.
land,
The-
So if you
yeah,
deregister, then the land court portion, then it gives you a lot more flexibility, you know.
Yeah.
I just know in terms of things we have going on in the town, if we could deregister, then it could give us a little bit more flexibility to manage some things going on.
So, and one of those flexible things would be all of those parcels that have paper streets next to them that have been just languishing in land court for decade. Could then jump to the unregistered side, to the reported side, and could be cleared up in 2 months.
Did that keep you?
Yeah, in 2 months.
Is that thing that you mentioned with same piece of land having like split, is that seems unbelievably complicated. Like worse than just regular problems.
There is a lot of complicated one, you know, there's ones that I've looked at now that. When they did the taking plan, it was half unregistered, half registered, but they named it the same parcel number. So they didn't divide it off. So that would be a perfect example of deregistering, because then you could still use that plan and convey it all out as unregistered.
So nobody has done this yet.
So with
Yeah.
respect to what we're looking at.
Yep.
I believe that's a House bill. Is it likely to pass?
I believe it has passed.
It has passed.
Okay, but that's, so we don't see the language of the act, we see the bill.
This was the preview the day after the session ended.
Okay,
So we don't have the actual, it might be up now on
Okay.
the.
This is all very recent. I mean, within the last 2 weeks.
well, my question is answered very simply.
So nobody has done this yet, obviously. We don't know who the first test subject is going to be if we were betting.
Oh, well,
it's
they
gonna
have
be
to
some-
set up impossible bureaucracy
Oh, yeah.
to deal with deregistration.
So the interesting part is that there are other means of deregistering. So it shouldn't be a totally foreign concept to the land court. The next question will be, once you have somebody saying, yes, I'm going to try to do
I
this.
don't mean to delay this by very much. What was the original benefit or concept of the land court?
So the benefit of the land court, benefit of registered land, is that the boundaries and title is certified by the court itself. And so there's no adverse possession. There is no sort of fuzzy lot line. The line is what the line is what the line is. The title is what the title is. There's no question about long lost heirs or anything like that. It's a way truly to sort of certify your bounds and your property with the full backing of the state court. That's so again,
When was it established? 1659?
The beginning of the universe.
yeah,
A long
they
time.
think so. Yeah.
And really Massachusetts and maybe Pennsylvania have land court, no other states do.
Hawaii,
Oh, Hawaii does. So
Only two.
in all those other states, they do warranty deeds and for title purposes and,
Basically, Tracy, mostly quit claim.
but it's we're an anomaly having to deal with land court. In terms of like normal title in the whole rest of the United States.
And to be fair, land court has its benefits, without a doubt. There is a great benefit to registered land. I mean, again, there is no such thing as prescriptive easement. There is no adverse possession. So in these instances, if somebody has a walking path for the last 50 years over a piece of registered land, don't care. If there's no easement on title, doesn't matter. Whereas unregistered, you say, oh gosh, well, yeah, you can have an adverse possession claim, you can have prescriptive easement. I don't know. So
That's interesting.
my guess is, if I were a betting man, that if somebody filed one of these with the court tomorrow, it would take them about 6 months, maybe 9 months to get it through the deregistration system.
But the second one would be half that, and the third one would be a quarter of that.
I would be willing to wager it's gonna be just as
Okay,
long.
But not everybody will choose to do it.
No,
I just talked to a guy this morning. I suggested that was an option for him, but in my opinion, he would have no advantage. He'd be better off keeping it all in.
So it's an opt-in or out thing. This is gonna be.
For sure, yeah.
Well, then that makes it more sensible.
yeah, and it's not very. I shouldn't say it's not very easy. It is just as time consuming, if not more so, to then register your property with the land court. It's one thing to take it, taking it out is sort of easier. Putting it back in can be a little more challenging. But from our little myopic view of the universe, this would make things very interesting.
you've got a corner lot office, you can look north and east,
That's it.
south and west.
It's very interesting for paper street purposes.
Okay, that's helpful.
And presumably that when, let's say one of these situations arises, and heck, let's use one of the ones from John Adams, one of the registered pieces. If the town takes it, I assume the town is also going to need to assent
Yeah.
to the deregistration, since there will be an order of taking on the certificate type.
Yeah.
So it'll be, the town's going to need to work hand in hand with.
Which is kind of a process we're trying to go to anyways, where unless it's a straight up, we need a certificate of title, we would assent to a petition, for
Okay,
other
so in the
things.
sense of the public deserves all the information it can get. To people with land court registered land, get notices that they may deregister if they choose. They're gonna
Probably not.
have to find out by word of mouth or hearsay,
And so for
or their attorneys.
yeah, so for as a practical matter, there would need to be a good reason to deregister. And something like a paper street could be a good reason for some homeowners, maybe not. We've recommended when people set up condominiums, they may want to deregister because it's cumbersome to deal with the land court for any amendments to condominium documents. Again, depending on what you're doing with the property and trust work, et cetera, there may be reasons to deregister. But I think it's one of those, you would need an active reason rather than just sort of passively, I'm ready to be on the unregistered side now. I think it'll be interesting how many homeowners from Nantucket wind up doing this vis-a-vis, and how many others from all file.
The other part that it comes into play is so say you are going in for a subdivision.
Mm.
And you're conforming and you can do the subdivision, but your land court, you've got a whole plan process there that you're eliminating if you decide to deregister. Although then you have to do the deregistering which could take as much time, and it's kind of gonna be, it possibly could be 6 1/2. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and for what it's worth, the interesting part of the deregistration process is truly, it's a very much a hurry up and wait. You know, there isn't a lot of heavy lifting to do at all. It's really just, okay, well, we're waiting. And we're waiting. And we're waiting.
Oh. Are we,
So-
I mean, what are you looking for? A positive sort of
No, I
feeling
just wanted to
change?
bring it
This
to your
a
attention. It's
sense of the
definitely gonna
meeting?
change the process.
This
is
regarding
great.
new Conveyances.
Let's
I
go
mean, I
back
think-
to John Adams'
Yeah.
Way,
Yeah,
because several of the properties, to the south are land coded and one or two it is not. What are we taking? We're taking land from the land coded properties. And then we're gonna reconvey them.
So what
The
we're,
paper, who owns the paper way?
the abutters,
That's what I thought.
it would be, as Arthur points out, the derelict fee statute. So, the derelict fee statute, so that nobody, so all you may own to the midline, but you don't own the fee.
Gotcha.
So the
So it's fee what?
fee, you don't own the fee, so the
No, it's fee simple or
Yeah.
fee what? Just fee simple?
fee complicated, no, it's just fee.
Or leasehold.
Yeah. That's exactly right. So it is an abutters way, so everybody, you know, owns to the midline and has the right to pass, repass, and it's set.
So the benefit, of course, is that when it's conveyed back to them, it goes into their square footage. The town gets a little bit more in tax and they get a little more latitude about for an extra bedroom if they needed it.
And just as importantly, they don't have to worry about a neighbor saying, you know what? I've always wanted to open up this way
Yeah.
and get to Sherburne. So I got Victor Brandon on speed dial.
well, that
We're
can
gonna
happen.
pay this.
Well,
That can happen with a regular paper street too. It's
Oh,
not
yeah,
very-
yes, agreed.
But the center line thing, I believe, now don't correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong, I don't claim to know everything, that's for sure. But I believe. My numerous conversations with Andrew about this over the years, the two that pop into my head. The one in Mattocket, that went down to Harold Welders, what's that called?
Multiple.
Yes. That piece that went across that everyone said, I can get to use this for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
Okay, they own that. Cause it was land court, they own it, and then North. Mill Street. Was owned by the Muellers because it was registered and they own land on both sides of the road.
Yeah.
So one family technically owned North Mill Street in that section, and once I learned those two things. And now I get, like, you don't own a private road to the center line. You have a setback, it's a private road, but you don't own it, you're not paying taxes on it, there's a difference.
Right.
And so. I like that conversation, that's a key for rights.
So. in
For
that-
sort of not having too many rights on one side of versus the other kind of thing,
I'll add one to your examples.
yeah,
Before you got here, we spent meeting after meeting on Salty Way.
oh. I remember the first house that got built there in '88,
I mean,
on the top of the hill, so that was I think it's number
and so they
4.
were using a private way for access. Because they didn't want to use Quidnet Road.
You mean-
Quidnet Road on one side.
Well, it's yeah, but what's the name of that?
And
East
somebody
Fire Spring.
decided that, oh no, I own the whole thing. And there were a bunch of people who couldn't get to their garages.
Well, I mean, Quidnet's got a lot of messy stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they got they got their own set of poachicks and weeders out there. That's what I kind of call it. They're everywhere.
Well,
Chase
well,
Lane is
well,
everywhere. It's like, where's
Okay,
it going?
Before we march on, Tracy, for agenda item 8.
Yeah,
When you're ready to present that, could we see the finished form, just to look at it and give our blessings?
so
for-
8A you're talking about.
Oh, on the
agenda,
agenda?
Yeah,
yard sale procedure form.
the
Oh, yeah. So,
Oh.
yeah, this is still very preliminary. I was kind of waiting
That's
to
what he's
figure out.
talking about, this thing.
Yeah,
That's what
so,
I thought.
so we're 8A or 8B,
Yeah,
but if people
okay.
deregister, that's like another whole line item, so
Yeah.
to speak.
And then, of course, when we get to the actual, what's taken, I'm thinking of conveyance that we would need the assessor's estimate of square footage fee.
So I have a lot of people lately, now that I'm getting phone calls every single day about yard sale parcels, who want to know what the price is up front. And then I
That's the lawyer's fees.
And then I have the people who want to be locked into the RFP from 20 years ago or whatever it was. And I am gonna have a conversation about if the property sells. There have been cases where the select board has assigned the existing RFP. But I don't know that that's gonna happen going
You mean,
forward.
if the property sells before the process is over? Okay, so there's like a value attached to it?
So for instance.
Wow, like that's an interesting one. How often does that happen? I've never heard that come up before.
Handful of times.
I was gonna say, would it be? That could be something you could have like a caveat that says, if this property sells for whatever reason, blah, blah, blah. A fee shall be something. I mean, the process is still gonna be in flux, right? Well, this land court stuff, getting rid of that'll help this problem. I bet they were all registered land places that this happened at. Flow Beach Road on the left.
Some
I
were
bet it
just
happened
things
there.
that, some things were just things that got.
Never got
complicated.
done.
Then when they
Yeah.
got complicated or
Yeah,
there's other
Yeah.
other things going on, like tax title. We
Yeah.
haven't even had that conversation. I have a very large list that were in tax title that should never have really maybe been RFP'd at all.
Yeah.
That are unresolvable.
I'm sure there is.
So
Know of a
the
handful
question
of
with
that,
those
but
are, if the
many-
town actually cannot convey because it's in tax title, then how do we unresolve things?
So you have multiple buckets,
I do.
but you're trying to clean up the ones that shouldn't take so long. That are standard if they weren't
Exactly.
registered. Is that basically the case?
Those ones and the ones that really just need either plan approval or a certificate of title or both
Yeah.
those things, and get attorneys to start filing the petitions if possible and move those ones along that are pretty straightforward. They just require land court.
Right.
It's these other ones that have other things wrong. That are kind of stuck.
I don't know whether it impacts John. I don't think it's gonna affect our committee. The new rules on real estate commissions. I think that's called the Attorney Full Support Act.
I would be surprised if this has anything, I'd be surprised if it finds its way to anything that we're doing.
It,
So-
the decision was made, I'm not sure by whom, that pre-setting the split of commissions
Yeah, I know.
was inappropriate.
We'll see what that fallback or fallout looks like.
Okay.
Hey,
I don't have anything else that, I'm just plugging along on, I have a lot of takings coming up.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of committees that are burdening her and stuff.
I do. And I have, other stuff going on with all kinds of things, but
Yep.
There's, some big bike path and road improvement projects coming up that I have to do easement takings for, so I'll be doing those. And
Are we finished with Akawa and Boulevard? I mean,
well,
not
I haven't done it
Boulevard,
yet, but
Monahan.
yes, it's coming. That's gonna be happening.
Thought that
and,
was already done, by the way.
Well, the taking's not officially done.
Okay,
And but the plans there and the appraisals and all of that is all sorted out. And we have the bike path going in on Milestone from Hayes Park up
Yeah.
to Pulpus. That's gonna be happening
Nice.
starting in
that shouldn't be a
October.
big deal.
that's great.
And so I have
You gotta deal with Dinsmore, is
I
the
got
problem
some
there.
licenses I gotta do there.
That guy in that meeting. Wow, I couldn't believe it. Dinsmore cottages, that's what those are. I Forget about what they call them now.
Monmouth
Yeah.
Village.
Yeah,
yeah, so
I'm
they'll
old.
be
I
getting a
remember what it was.
license.
There used to be a sign.
So they've been very cooperative and so,
The
it's.
guy with the hedge cooperative now,
Yeah,
that he
they're
found out that he
cooperative.
needs to keep his mouth shut. I
well,
couldn't believe it. What he was saying on that meeting with the state, that was unbelievable. Like, stop, who is this guy?
oh,
He doesn't own the land. And he's acting like he does, and it's like, dude, don't say anything. Just quiet. It'll get fixed by itself. You know what I
The
mean?
louder and the longer I talk, the
Believe
more likely you are to accept my point of view.
Unbelievable.
I've been there.
I'm very excited about that.
so, but yeah, so that bike path, I'm working with Mike Burns on, Tom Nevers bike path and,
Somerset Lane.
working, I got.
Somerset Lane
I
should
gotta,
already
you
be,
might be able to help
set
me
up.
with something on Somerset, but,
Happy to do so.
but I have resolved. The spin out on one part of that, and now I'm on to another section. So, but yeah, so it's all, lots of town business.
there you go.
Okay.
All right,
All right, does anybody else have any other business to talk about? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Really. Not on Zoom.
Anyway, how do we want to do this?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Motion made and seconded, roll call vote, Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Lisa Saperstein, Thomas Barrett, John Berger goes aye as well. All right,
rock on.
thank you all.
Question, Tracy, do we have, there's one seat? Oh, okay.
Let's let her be done.
Oh,